Welcome to the third episode of Dallas Influences Sport and Entertainment's virtual speaker series. My name is Carla Rosenberg, and I am the current president of DICE. In my day job, I serve as the senior vice president of charity and events management for Lagardère Plus. Thank you for tuning in today. As I mentioned, this is our third week doing this, as we wanted to be able to offer a platform for meaningful content and connection to not only our members, but also to anyone who is interested in insights into the current state of the sports industry. Next week, we plan to reveal a new lineup of speakers. So please continue to tune in each week on Wednesday at 2 o'clock Central Standard Time for 30 minutes. We will have sports and entertainment leaders share viewpoints about their respective fields during this unprecedented time. For those of you that are new to the series and not familiar with DICE, our vision is to use the power of sports and entertainment to provide professional development and networking, and encourage a community focus that gives back to our area's children, specifically in health and education. Since 2013, we are proud to share that we have distributed over $700,000 to local nonprofits. Right now, we recognize that our food banks are struggling to keep up with demand for food. So funds raised through these speaker series will be donated to the North Texas Food Bank and allocated toward family boxed meals. Our friends at the Dallas Stars Foundation, the Texas Rangers Foundation, and the Dallas Mavericks have each stepped up and offered to match up to $5,000 of the funds we raise during these weekly speaker series. As of today, we have raised $2,080. And with our matching gifts, our current total is $8,320. So right now, know for every dollar you contribute, $3 gets added, which is equivalent to 12 meals. Thank you again to our professional sports teams for helping us make an impact and for being such great community partners. I'll make sure to add this donation link to the chat so that those of you who wish to contribute may do so. Before we begin our discussion today, I want to remind you that there is an opportunity to ask questions throughout the segment using the Q&A feature below. In addition, the only visuals you should see on your screen are the speakers. Therefore, if you'd like to still virtually network, please feel free to do so and set your chat to all panelists and attendees. Drop your name and company in that box, and hope you'll post this on social and tag @DICE.org with hashtag DICE Virtual Advice. I'm really excited to hear from our speaker today, as she was supposed to be gearing up to defend her gold medal at the Olympics in Tokyo. Working in live events, there are so many factors one has to consider to reschedule an event, and I can only imagine what was involved with the postponement of Tokyo 2020. With so many countries and different seasons and competitive seasons and television seasons, I'm looking forward to hearing the effect from the athlete perspective in terms of training and overall impact. So without further delay, I would like to introduce you to our featured virtual speaker, Olympic gold medalist, Michelle Carter. Michelle is a native of Dallas-Fort Worth and attended Red Oak High School in Red Oak, Texas. She won state titles and set records competing in the shot put and discus. In 2006, Michelle won a collegiate NCAA national championship in the shot put for the University of Texas and made her first Olympic team 2 years later. She competed in 3 Olympic Games and won gold in the shot put in Rio in 2016. She also won the world indoor title that year and has collected multiple medals from prestigious national and international competitions. Michelle has a passion for helping girls live a healthy lifestyle, feel confident they can compete in sports, and respect themselves no matter their backgrounds or body types. We at DICE are honored to have Michelle Carter with us today. Moderating this discussion is none other than our fearless leader, Kern Egan, who is the co-founder and chairman of DICE and serves as the President Americas of Lagardère Plus, Lagardère Sports and Entertainment's global partnership marketing agency. Kern, please take it from here.
Thank you, Carla. Appreciate that intro as always. I'm so excited to talk to the first American woman to ever win the gold medal in the shot put, the Shot Diva herself. Welcome, Michelle. There.
All right. There we go. Hi. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
I think we talked about, we really focus on the business side of sports here, but I just have to ask a question as a fan first. You won the gold medal on your last throw in 2016, moving up from the silver position. You took third at the previous year's World Championship. So I recall the announcer saying you were playing with house money, meaning you really didn't have much to lose on that last throw. Was it true that you were just happy to improve to second place in a medal position? Or was there some still immense pressure to try to win gold? And were you prepared for it to come down to one throw?
Yeah, I wasn't prepared for it to come down to one throw. The goal is to try to throw far early and like secure your place. But early on in the event, I was secured at second. But I guess I didn't have anything to lose because at that moment, on my last throw, I still would have got a silver medal. But for me, myself personally, I didn't want to settle for silver. My dad has that. I wanted gold.
It really strikes you when you go back and rewatch, just the uniqueness of an Olympic athlete where so much of their life and their career and their training just comes down to sort of that one moment. So I wanted to hear a bit about that. Speaking of that sort of one moment, you're supposed to have another one here coming up in Tokyo. But obviously that's been postponed now. When did you start prepping for that possibility and how has it affected you?
For me, I don't take it like as I trained for 4 years because we have world championships right before and the year after the Olympics. I take each year as its own unique year. So we had world championships last year. It was kind of like my comeback year. I had surgery and I made the team. I made the finals. So I was feeling really good going into 2020, kind of getting back to my old self. And then this happened. And in a way, I was really more devastated during the fact that they haven't made a decision, knowing that if we did have the Olympics, what could happen, that people could get sick, and now we don't have a place to train, or how we're going to train to be ready, because at this time, this is track season time. This is when everybody really starts to build up and really push to be their best, and now everything is shut down. So how do you time that? How do I plan for that? So I think for me, it was more stressful being in limbo, not knowing when or where I need to be ready, versus them rescheduling the Olympics, which I'm okay with because I'd rather be safe than sorry. Like, I can't imagine having my dad come out there and my family come out and support me and they get sick and possibly die, or any of my teammates out there getting sick that you care about. So at this moment, I'm like, hey, we have to make the best decision for Team USA. Even though for some people, I really feel sorry for those who were on their way to make their first Olympic team, because that first Olympic team is very special. And but since I had the opportunity to be on 3, I'm like, okay, I don't mind waiting because I can figure it out because I've been there, done that. But my heart really goes out to those who haven't had that opportunity yet.
What does it do to those athletes, just in terms of preparation, mental state, physical state, et cetera? What's happening generally with all these world-class athletes?
We have a lot of time on our hands that we normally don't have. But I think mentally you have to really push harder than you would physically, because I feel like at the Olympics, you've done everything you could do physically. The only thing you really have to worry about that matters the most is what you do mentally. And right now, just trying to stay stress-free as possible is very important, because stress does take a toll on the body, and learn how to control what you can't control. Because right now, this whole situation is out of our control. We don't have any say on anything at this moment. We have to wait to see what the government says and then what our governing body says. There's so many things, but I know a lot of people are stressed because now their income has been affected, and now they just don't know. I was ready this year. Will I be ready next year? Will I still have the same opportunities? There's so many things that could go on in their mind. But for me, what I've been trying to push out there and trying to remind people, like, control what you can control. It's not going to be about you physically being ready. It's going to be more about you being mentally ready. And this is the time to take care of yourself mentally more now than ever. Now that you have the time to kind of dive into some things you normally don't get to, enjoy life just a little bit. Even though we're confined into our homes, there's still things we can do that we can learn and enjoy at home.
Yeah, and you mentioned the income aspect, and a lot of our viewers are interested in the financial side of this business and being an athlete. How does it affect the typical athlete or you in terms of training costs and time? What does the endorsement portfolio look like? How are athletes still working with brands or managing that business side of what they do?
Well, yeah, right now, I know for me, I have a contract, so I'm okay with that part of it because they kind of have to honor the contract. But then also, you just never know what they might decide to do at the end of the year. And I think a lot of athletes are in that position, like, okay, I'm good to a certain degree because I am going to get some income because of the contract. But then all the money that you would normally make through your prize money and appearance fees that really makes up the bulk of our income is now gone. So now you're kind of like living off the bare minimum, and all the extra stuff that you probably able to do or able to afford, now you have to manage your money differently. And that's only for athletes who have a base in their contracts. Some athletes only have bonuses in their contracts. So you only get paid based off how well you perform. So then now that opportunity to earn money has now been taken away. And that's hard. But I feel like right now you have to try to be creative. And the good thing about the internet, you can almost do anything on the internet, but it's putting athletes in a really hard position because now what they're used to having and be able to afford might actually be a struggle for them, and they might not even be able to afford their housing, food, and clothing at this moment.
You mentioned the internet. Maybe let's jump ahead to kind of that topic and social media in general. It's really opened up commercial opportunities for athletes. And I'm particularly fascinated by influencers who not only use their following to endorse other brands and products, but also to start their own brands and businesses. And I know that's something you've taken advantage of. Let's maybe start with just a general question about how you use social media. What's your general experience been with it as sort of a global athlete?
It's definitely been different because when I won, social media was definitely picking up for me. Speaking opportunities definitely became something that I was able to take advantage of, but that was me flying places and going to go speak to people. But now it's changed again because I had quite a few speaking engagements lined up for this year, and now they had to been canceled. So now, right now for social media, I've actually had some brands reach out to me to help out on some campaigns, and it's actually been a really good experience. I've enjoyed it, but at the same time, it's like, oh, my editing skills are not that good. Taking pictures, I'm like, do I look good like this or should I do it like that? So it comes with its own set of pressure, but I'm very grateful that I have the opportunities to work with brands and not just, and if they want to work with me, because I do try to have a positive brand out there and put out good messages and support good causes, because I feel like we need more of that in the world. And I look at it, if I can promote something or if I can even just share something personal that can help the next person, like that's what I want to do with my brand. And now since all these opportunities are on social media, it's really opened up a new door for me to actually try to learn some new skills and get better at my social media presence and my branding.
And a lot of us, I assume a lot of us that are, watching this or speaking with you today, we think a lot about how brands can leverage athletes to help their marketing efforts, how brands can help the athletes themselves to make that partnership sort of more authentic. There's a lot of PowerPoint presentations, there's conference room discussions, there's conference calls among marketing people about how to best make that partnership work. I'd love to hear from the athlete side. what makes a partnership work? What are, and you can be specific or more general, but from an athlete's perspective, how does it easy for, how do we make it easy for athletes to work with brands? What are some of the most successful strategies or tactics we might be able to put in place from your perspective?
Yeah, I think one of the easiest things is to consider that athlete's personality in the brand or in the marketing, because sometimes you will get some brands like, I want you to read this script exactly like this, and then move your hand like that, and move your hand like this, and then it becomes unnatural and it doesn't look authentic. But for me, I've been working with some brands that has allowed me to just show my personality, and they give me the bullet points of what they want me to cover, but then I can bring my own flair to it. So when I do present it to my page, people are like, oh, okay, I believe you, like you really mean it. And I think that's the biggest thing right now, because people know that in some situations, people get paid to say anything. But the biggest thing is that if I read this, or if I endorse this, or I'm partnership with you, I want it to be something that I really do believe in, that I trust this brand, and they trust that I can be myself and I do my best with it. Because I think that comes across really well to people's audience, because people's audience know when you're being fake. They be like, okay, now she's really reading this. And I think sometimes some brands forget that, even though sometimes there are some important things you want to cover, but allowing the athlete to be themselves makes it fun for the athlete, but also fun for my audience to enjoy.
Yeah, and that's really it's sometimes a challenge for a brand where they have very tight direction or a brief, in terms of what they want messaging wise or creative wise, to make sure it kind of helps fulfill what they're trying to do from a marketing standpoint, but also know they're going to get much more out of it if they leave some flexibility for, somebody like you to be their authentic, self in what they do. Do you have an example that stands out to you of something that you've done that kind of felt right to you?
Well, yeah, I actually did a social media post with Nike. So they had me like tell a story about something positive that I seen. They trying to get like some motivating messages, and they kind of gave me some guidelines, and I was like, okay, I can see what happened. And then later on that day, I actually had a situation when I was walking around the neighborhood, and I saw this lady. You could tell she just had surgery. She had like a whole knee brace on, and she was struggling to walk. But the whole fact that she was just out there walking. And so I saw her, and I told her, I'm gonna give you an air high five, because I'm just gonna, I'm proud of you for even trying. And so I was able to tell that story that was motivating and positive, but then like the 15-second stories of Instagram, and I was able to make it work and add my personality to it. But then it was also a story on a story they wasn't expecting. So when I sent it in, they was like, oh, that's actually a good story. Like, I wasn't expecting that kind of story. But, I was able to use what happened in my real life and then put it within their guidelines, that it actually worked and it came off authentic. They enjoyed it. People enjoyed the story, and it worked for everybody.
Yeah, right. No, that's something everybody should check out. And I'm sure Nike's one of those brands that's makes it a little bit easier for you to, be yourself as an authentic athlete. So mention brands and products and endorsing those, but also the idea that social media has given athletes their own platform to create their own brands and their own businesses. I think it's a great opportunity for us to talk about the Shot Diva. Tell us about that. It seems to be just a great blend of your passions in terms of sport, but also beauty and fashion. And tell us how those worlds came together for you and what that business is about.
Yes. So actually, Shot Diva came alive in college. It is a blend of me throwing the shot put and me being this diva that I love the fashion, I love the makeup, and I'm this girly girl, but I throw a heavy ball into dirt for a living. Like, that's what I do. But for me, it was just combining those two things of who I am. Like, I am this great athlete who does this sport that isn't considered feminine. Like, you don't think of a woman throwing a shot put when you think about shot put, you think about men. But then some people, if you do think about a woman, her name is Helga, and she may not look as feminine. But I was like, you know what? I have to be myself in the sport. And that's what I've always done since high school. In high school, I always get my nails done and they're painted and make sure my hair was done nicely. And as I got older, I was able to wear makeup and I threw makeup in the mix and I was able to have fun with that. But I was able to let my personality shine in my sport, because for women in sports, you kind of have to, they kind of force you to choose sometimes that you could be a great athlete or you could be pretty. You don't get to do both. And in the beginning of my career, I was talked about for being too pretty out there trying to compete in the shot put. But it wasn't that I was just trying to be pretty. I wanted to be my best self. And for me, as people get ready for work, you put on your nice shirt, you want to iron it, you have your clothes together, your shoes together, you want to present yourself nicely. And that's how I approached my track meets. I wanted to present myself in such a way that I know when I walk in the room, I look good. So if I look good, I feel good and I'm going to do good and I'm ready to execute. And that's kind of where my brand started building from that alone, just the confidence that I had to have, that I have just to be myself in a place where I'm the total opposite of what people think I should be.
Tell us where to find you.
Well, yeah, you can find me at shotdiva.com. It's real simple. I'm Shot Diva on everything, so it'll be really easy to find.
Give us maybe one lesson you've learned in having your own business.
Oh man. I would say the major lesson that I learned is that you're responsible for everything. Because sometimes when you are working for somebody else, some of those things that have to get done may fall underneath somebody else's role. But when you're in business for yourself, it's on you. And if I don't know how to do it, I have to figure out who does. And if I'm not even able to do it because of training and all the things, I have to find someone who can do this for me. And that's been a struggle for me because I want to be Superwoman and do everything because I know I can do it. But if I want to do well at my business, I have to learn how to resource and find people to work with and how to delegate sometimes if I want my business to do well.
Good advice. Good advice. We're really grateful for the North Texas sports community here that we're a part of. It does so much to give back to the community, and you're no different. So we'd be remiss if we didn't get a chance to talk about You Throw Girl and the Sports Confidence Camp. Tell us about how that started, what you try to teach those young girls at those events, and what you've gotten out of it personally.
Yes, so my camp is called You Throw Girl Sports Confidence Camp. And how this started was I get a lot of emails from parents like, how are you so confident at what you're doing? Like, where does this confidence come from? Can you talk to my daughter about it? Can you teach my daughter that? And it was a lot from athletes who didn't look like the normal athlete. Everybody is not made to have 10% body fat with a six-pack, and every athlete doesn't look like that because every sport has its own needs according to what you're trying to accomplish. And I always give the example, if I was built like Gabby Douglas, I probably couldn't throw the shot put 67 feet 8 inches. But if Gabby Douglas was built like me, the flips in the air would not look the same. So everybody's body type is made to do something different. So in my camp, I want the girls to see all kind of body types of athletes and how they can feel confident in how they're built, but then also figure out what you're good at with how you're built and how to make that work. But then also, we take it past the field where we're not just building you up as an athlete, but we're building them up as young women by teaching them how to set goals and make a plan to accomplish them. We do self-defense class because we do live in a world where things happen to young women, and I want them to feel confident that they're ever in a situation they can get themselves out and get help. We have a counselor that comes in and we do girl talk, the things they might be too embarrassed to ask their parents. We have someone there that they can talk to. And then we have fun. And then we have the Shot Diva beauty workshop, and where we teach age-appropriate makeup because they're young girls and I want them to enjoy their moment while they're in high school, but then we teach them how to take care of their hair and take care of their bodies as young women. So then when they go into any field in life, you have heard something or have something that you can walk in that room confident because you've been there, done that. I've heard about this. We also do a dinner at the end of the night. Last year, we took them to, I think it was Three Forks. And I had them set it up real nicely and had the different courses and all the different silverware. And for some of the girls, it was the first time they've ever been in that type of environment. But we went over etiquette and how do you know, what each fork means and all these different things. And they loved it. They were able to dress up and you could see all their personalities. And it was, uh-oh. And it was amazing just to see them light up because they're learning something new, but they feel good while they're doing it. And it means a lot to me that I get the messages back from the young girls like, you know, thank you, Miss Michelle, for showing me that I can do this. Thank you for your motivation. Thank you for your encouragement. Because my goal is if I can encourage one person to be their very best and build up their confidence in doing that, that they could be unstoppable in the world.
Phenomenal. A lot of girls owe you a lot for that. Thank you for doing that for the community. Got some, I think we have a couple more minutes. Let's look at the Q&A. Of course, you've got a faithful Longhorn following, so we'd be remiss if we didn't talk about Austin in some way. What makes the Texas Relay so special as a premier competition for track and field? And as a fellow Longhorn, what's your favorite spot in Austin?
First of all, hook 'em horn.
my wife would come in here doing that too if she
right
here. Yeah.
Well, what makes Texas Relay so awesome is that number one is in the great state of Texas, so we're just going to put that out there. And number two is that it just attracts a lot of high level competition because we have a lot of great talent in Texas, and a lot of that talent stays in Texas. So people want to come and compete against the best. And I think Texas Relays definitely lays out a great competition where the best can compete against the best. Because I know for me in high school, it was like right before a district going into state. So it was always a good measure to see where you're at right before district. And even in college, it was like a good measure. Okay, this is the beginning of outdoor season. Let's show everybody what we're about to do for the year. So it's like Texas Relays is this meet that's kind of opening up the track season for you to show what you can do, but also let you know where you're at. And it's just a fun time because it's Austin. Everybody's there to have a good time. And I would say my favorite place in Austin, I'm not gonna lie, Austin changed a lot since I was in school because I graduated from Texas in 2007. But one of my favorite places is Rudy's. Or is it Trudy's? It's Trudy's. It's a Mexican food place. It's awesome. They have this stuffed fried avocado. It's so good.
Great. Let's see. I think we might have time for one more. Apparently, there was a virtual pole vaulting competition last weekend.
I've heard about it, but I didn't get to see it.
The question was whether you'd be willing to compete in sort of a virtual competition like that in the shot put.
Yeah, it's virtual. I'll do it.
I heard in one of your interviews you were having some trouble finding practice fields.
Well, yeah, where I normally practice had turned into a testing site. And so we decided that, okay, we need to lay low for a little while until we figure out what's going on. Actually, I need to talk to my dad, who was my coach, and see what we're going to do now since we've been on lockdown for a little bit. But yeah, it was questionable for a moment because we wasn't sure, should we still go out there, should we not? So my dad decided to shut it down. But right now I'm doing workouts at home. I've been looking for workout equipment, which is hard to come by because everybody's building an at-home gym at this moment. So I'm still working on trying to piece together the pieces for my at-home gym.
Good. I guess you've got a little time now to do that.
Yes, I do. I bought paint for the garage. I'm gonna make it pretty.
Wish you luck on that. I see a comment here that I thought we could wrap up with, which is just, I've gotten to know you, through meeting you a couple of times, and it's such a joy to spend time with you and to have you as part of our community. And, Rob says, Michelle's always been a class act and is the epitome of how professional athletes should be. For what she has done in and for our sport, Michelle deserves everything that she has and will have in the future. And I think that sums up really nicely how
Thank
everybody feels
you.
about you. And we thank you for spending time with us today.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I appreciate this opportunity, and it's always great to see you.
Yeah, great. Thanks, Michelle. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Don't forget to donate to the North Texas Food Bank if you can. Every dollar turns into 4. Every meal, 3 meals turns into 12. So please do that if you can in the chat. The link is in the chat, or we'll post it afterwards. So thanks everybody, and we will see you next week.